Alexicles, and I'm a member of the Hoplite Association. We represent the Greek period from 500 BC to 430 BC, which includes the Battle of Marathon, Thermopylae, Plataea, and the start of the Peloponnesian War. I'm basically a front rank hoplite. My armour is made of leather and linen. It's a linothorax, and it's quite sturdy. As a front ranker, I have leg greaves and sandals. My defence is my aspis, which is a bold shield, gripped like that and held on the shoulder. My main weapon is the 8-foot spear, which is counterweighted, and there's a sharp acme at the front and a saruta at the back end. The whole idea is you hold the spear over your shoulder, the shield up, and you stab like that going forward in a phalanx 8 deep. My helmet is an early Corinthian helmet. You can tell it's an early Corinthian. There's no earpiece, narrow eye holes, and it's crested. We're not sure reason why they're crested, but that's the defence. Protects my head. My shield protects my body. My leg greaves protect my legs. I'm a hoplite. I'm the heavy infantry of 500 BC.
What's the point again for? The point on the spear, you were talking about it earlier.
The point of the spear is a counterweight, and it also is a secondary weapon. You can use it as a club, spike people on the ground, and basically it's a counterweight more than anything to enable you to carry your spear more forward than backwards. The counterweight is designed, if you hold the spear in the middle, it just goes like that.
Yeah.
The counterweight is designed so I hold the spear more forward than backwards.
Yeah.
Keep my enemy further away. You can see he can't get at me, where I can dispose of him.
Sword then?
My sword is a coppice. Coppice means chopper, and it's basically a short sword, but it's front weighted. As you can see, it's leafed and front weighted, and it's basically to chop. Weighted at the top, so it just comes down and carry on. It's a limb remover. It's a chopper. Nothing pretty about it. It's designed to take arms, legs, and heads off.
So you lose your spear, then you go to that?
Lose my spear, and as a matter of last resort, I will use this.
Okay.
It's only a weapon of last resort.
Because that spear, it's not designed to be thrown, is it?
The spear is designed not to be thrown. If you throw it, you haven't got it anymore, your enemy has it. And so the spear is, as I say, double pointed. If I lose the front or it snaps straight over, and you've got that
right
as a club or to stab.
How many guys behind you can use their spears?
In a phalanx, the first 3 ranks will have the spears up and pointing forward. The last 5 ranks will have their shields in the back pushing you along. So it's like a giant stabbing hedgehog rolling machine, rolling forward. You have, if I'm in the front rank, you'll have another spear here, another spear here, and it's just everybody going like that. Spears up, you don't want the person behind you don't want to take his eye out. So it's up and stabbing like that. It's just a rolling machine. And the other phalanx will be coming at you the same. You'll meet up in the middle, and my spear will probably go to the 3rd rank of their army, and it'll be like a giant scrum, and whoever pushes the other one off wins.
You were saying the casualty rate was low?
It's about 5%, and that's on the losing side. It was quite, in the 500 to 430 BC, there weren't heavy casualties, and the battles only lasted half to 3/4 of an hour, as long as it took just to make the point, push somebody off the field of battle. It's quite a civilised way of fighting, if there could be a civilised way of fighting.
And your helmet, you said it's got no earpieces, or there's no holes?
Earpieces. So you can see there's no earpiece there. Narrow eye slots. It's like having a giant goldfish bowl on your head. It's very difficult in the arena when we do our display for me to hear commands, and if I'm going forward I can't see the person to my right or left. You have to feel that they're there by the shields touching,
right,
and you're knocking against them. Very difficult to have like command and control. You rely on practice and training, and when most hoplite armies were citizen armies, there would be potters, builders, farmers.
Yeah.
Mistakes did happen, and errors were made.
So once the unit's committed to go forwards, that's all it can do pretty much?
That's all it can do.
Yeah.
There was some hazard a guess, there were some special movements on there, things like that. If the Spartan army was a professional army, that's all a Spartan would do was train for battle, whereas the Athenian army would probably train 4 or 5 times a year and fight every 3 years.
Is that helmet comfortable to wear? Or would they pad it out with?
You pad it out, padding came out. You pad it out, one, to make it sit better. It might be your grandfather's, made for your grandfather sort of thing.
Right, okay.
You pad it out to make it fit better, and also to absorb blows. So if anything did hit you, you don't. This shock absorbs it as well. And it just fits on, basically, like that. You can imagine this.
Right, so you're totally covered, apart from your toes.
192 at the Battle of Marathon.
Oh, right, okay.
The Persian casualties approximately 6,000. It was the first time. It was the first time recorded that the Hoplite army ran, and they ran into battle because they were fearful of the amount of Persian archers, and they didn't want to give the Persian archers time to get off volley after volley after volley of arrows. Even though you're well covered, you would still take quite a bit of casualties. And also, when they ran into battle, you can imagine trying to stop a phalanx on the run. They just ploughed straight into them. And they did that because the army stood off for a number of days. And they think that the Persians started to board their boats because they thought the Athenian army is here. There's nothing protecting Athens. So they started to board the boats. And Miltiades, the Athenian general or person in charge, had to do something. So they charged the Persians and beat them there. The Persians never used their cavalry, although they had it, which is a bit of a mistake because they perhaps could have gone round the Athenians. But they didn't. I think they were actually boarding them onto the boat at the time, and they were beaten. And they came back for the Battle of Thermopylae, and then the Battle of Plataea after that, where they were well and truly beaten. The Spartan army turned out in full force for the Battle of Plataea. They didn't for the Battle of Marathon. They arrived. They had a religious ceremony and arrived the day after the battle. And Thermopylae, they only sent 300, whereas there was a few thousand hoplites in total at the Battle of Thermopylae, not just the 300 Spartans. Although on the last day, when they were betrayed and the Persians came round the back of them, the Spartan king Leonidas sent the rest of the Greek hoplites away, and he with his 300, or what was left of his 300 Spartans stayed, but also 700 Thespians stayed with them and died as a rear guard action to let the others get away and defend Greece. But they still came through and sacked Athens and burned it to the ground.
What's your body armour made of?
It's leather and linen. It's an inner core of leather, and linen's glued either side of it. And it's quite 4 layers of linen just glued either side of that.
So it stopped like a slash from a sword?
Yeah, or a Persian arrow, which is quite thin and spindly, but it'd probably stop because the linen's glued cross weaves like that, and it'll tangle up in it. But they would have. Some people have told me they would have put up to 11 layers of linen either side, so it's quite stiff. And although this does get stiff when it's cold, but as you wear it, it gets warm. It's more pliable. And I can run, I can move, I can bend in it. But armour went through many forms of changes. They used to have these metal muscle cuirasses, these bronze cuirasses, perhaps you've seen. Then they went to these. Then they went to fighting in tunics. Then they went. But the less armour you have, the more vulnerable you are. The more armour that you have, the less manoeuvrable you are.
Yeah.
So it's a compromise all the way through.
So the older men would go at the front, or is it the richer at the front, or the younger men at the back?
More often than it was an honour to be at the front. So you'd have like the leader of, say, Athens, Pericles, and things like that. He would fight in the front. Spartans used to put Olympic champions in the front to try and intimidate their enemy. So if you were a young person in the front rank and you coming up against a Spartan army, you know you were fighting Olympic champions, and that'll make you stop and think, you know. And whereas other people used to put experienced people at the back, the young people at the front, so that they couldn't run, and they used to be in and more or less push them into battle. Must have been quite frightening, a youngster stuck at the front, being pushed into battle, knowing you were facing a Spartan army with Olympic champions at all sorts, javelin throwing or whatever. You were coming up against that.
So your armour would be inherited down through the
It could
family?
be. You could have it made if you're rich enough. You'd have it made for you.